Welcome to You've Got Messages. And I have the honor of being joined today by a very, very dear friend of mine, Daniela Caine. Daniela, you're down in Oregon.
Yep.
Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
So I just want to give you a little bit of background about Daniela. You and I met about, 6, 7 years ago at a Dr. Joe retreat.
It's like 2019.
Yeah.
That's
And
6 years ago.
I know. And we, like magic, we're on the same team. And yeah, definitely on the same journey. So I'm really
Mhm.
honored that you have joined us today to share some of your wisdom. Daniela is a certified breathwork coach. And so we have a
Mhm.
great surprise for you at the end because Daniela is going to do a short breathwork session at the end of today's episode. So you can really get that feel of the magic about doing breathwork. And this podcast is about messages, and
Mhm.
you'll feel those messages coming through when you're doing a breathwork session, like those emotions being released, and it could be
Yes.
quite transformative.
Yeah. Indeed.
But as well as being a certified breathwork coach, Daniela is also the creator of Frequency First Framework and the Beacon Method. And these are two things that you have created.
Mhm.
And when we were talking the other day, it just felt, I want a part of that. It felt so innovative, so exciting. But you do a lot of work with CEOs and leadership um,
Yes. Mhm.
in how corporations can actually change. But explain that even though this is created for corporations and leaders, that anyone in their everyday life can incorporate this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because corporations and companies are made out of individuals. So out of individual human beings who are forming a collective that are working towards a common goal. And so it really goes at the core to working with individual and allowing individuals to shift and change the state that they're in.
Okay, makes total sense. So, could you talk about frequency first and frequency of leadership and what you have created? Because it sounds amazing.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Okay. For me, and we both have learned from Dr. Joe, and one of the things that he says, and all of the big teachers are saying, whether it's Albert Einstein or anybody in that space or who is interested in quantum physics, everything is energy. Energy is frequency, and frequency is information. And so, with that understanding that everything is frequency and every frequency has information, we also know that every thought and every belief that we have has a certain frequency. And based on what kind of emotions we feel and the thoughts and beliefs that are attached to that, there are low frequencies and then there are high frequencies. And the low frequencies are fear, apathy, guilt, shame, anger. And then there is the medium point at 200 hertz, which is courage. And from then on up to love and cooperation and curiosity, um, that are high frequency states. So, so that's why I'm saying frequency first. We have to look at the frequency that we as individuals or as leaders that we are operating in to ensure that whatever we are creating, whether that is a service or whether that is a product, is created in high frequency states so that it can resonate with the people that we want to reach out to. I hope, yeah, that's kind of the whole premise. So instead of only looking at strategy and the how we're getting things out there, it's actually even more important to understand the frequency, the energetic state in which we are creating whatever we want to create. So the energetic state in which we are creating is way more important for a strategy to actually be successful.
And that makes total sense. If anyone listening is understanding of manifestation, you cannot manifest anything from a low vibration. You have to raise your vibration and sort of connect more fully to that field of infinite possibilities. And then it becomes easy.
Right. And you have to feel it. You have to feel it as if it's already done. It's already done. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you create that change for people?
Right. Yes, this is where I have developed the beacon method, which we know a beacon has a very clear symbol or a very clear signal. And what happens with leaders in organization, but also in our own personal life, if we are unclear, when our signal is scrambled, then we can't really manifest what we want to create or have in our lives. And so we might think that, I don't know, like just for example, if there's a company and says, I want to get to 50 billion, but if there is any doubt or even $1 million, right? So if a company or an entrepreneur wants to go to $1 million, but it makes sense from your brain, it makes sense from your analytical mind, but it will be very hard to manifest that if you have money mindset limitations of that, people who have money or who are rich are bad people. It will be very, very hard to get there if you feel guilty that you surpass your parents or your father in income, or that that it's lonely, to be at the top, or whatever your thoughts and beliefs are. So those are signals too. So we might be thinking, yes, I want to make $1 million, but in your mind, if there's a lot of negative beliefs and thoughts that are often unconscious or subconscious, if you think that, if you have those frequency in your body, in your system, it will always override your analytical mind.
Absolutely. And feelings of like people will be jealous of me.
Oh yeah.
Is a big one. So right. You can think that it's fear of success, but it's actually, well, it is a fear of success because I'm going to lose all my friends. Or yes. Will I lose the money? Better for me not to make it than to make it and then lose it.
Yeah, because that would be so painful. And that's, actually, some of the clients that I've worked with, they've had these feelings because they came from a family of entrepreneurs where the parents were entrepreneurs or the dad was an entrepreneur, and there was money there 1 month and then no money the next. And so it was this constant back and forth, toggling back and forth, and that made it very difficult then.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit more about the beacon method and what beacon stands for?
Okay. Thank you. I love this theme. Okay, so beacon method. So like the overarching theme is to become the beacon with a very clear signal, that you are emitting a very clear signal, and that you can really be in this space of possibility and openness. So beacon stands for B, meaning the breath. And the breath is one of the seven epigenetic keys to change and transformation. And it's right under our nose. So breathwork is really, like, in my experience, the fastest way how you can get into state shifts. The E stands for the fact that we are an energy field, that we are bioenergetic beings. The A is for alignment, not just values alignment, but it's almost like an energetic, not almost, it is an energetic alignment. The C is for clarity, clarity of signal, coherence. The O is for openness, openness, curiosity, which is the antidote to a fixed mindset and being in judgment. And then the N is for nervous system and nervous system regulation, which we know, like the nervous system holds 95% of, is the key because it holds 95% of what we automatically do and how we feel and how we think, and all of our beliefs and emotions, experiences, they're stored in the nervous system. And I like to say, like, O and N is finding the on switch that is in our body, in our physiology. And so it is actually, it's a process. It has like an energy arc to it. And it's a process that I lead organizations and individuals through, where we're going into like a one-on-one into the physical body. Then we are going into the micro, then we go into the macro. And so it's almost like this lens, we're toggling in and out of our experiences within the body, on the micro level, on the one-to-one level, and then seeing what's happening in the world from a macro level that allows us to tap into our own individual, personal place or space on earth, getting clarity while we're here, and who we are, and access, just like tapping into that. Yeah, and it's either a full day experience, or I'm doing this online as well. I call it the 5-day breathwork reset that we're doing over a week.
And that's coming up soon, isn't it?
Yeah, that's actually coming up next week. So yeah, next week.
Awesome. So great invitation. You can give a little bit of information about how people can sign up if they're interested or contact you. But going back to frequency, I mean, everything holds frequency, but I know you've had a background in the clothing industry.
Yes.
So even clothes will carry that frequency. How does that, give me a little bit more information on that.
Oh, Claire, this was so crazy because I spent 20 plus years in the apparel industry. And so I led teams of designers, was a designer and design executive myself. And what was interesting, because of course we created products, but you know, for the target consumer group, based on whatever the brand stood for. And in the decision making, there were two questions when we chose materials. And it was, what is the hand feel? How does it drape? And how much does it cost? And so when I then learned in 2019, when we met, when I learned that everything is energy, it's like, oh, that's really interesting. And I wondered how this could translate into apparel, because at that time, that's kind of, I felt myself being more of a designer and a creative in that sense, than what I do now. And I then stumbled over a research study that was done in 2003, and it kind of blew my mind. It was a study about the vibrational frequencies of textiles. And I read that study. It's by Dr. Heidi Yellen. And what she did was she she set a baseline for the human body, and she set that, or the measurements set that at 100 hertz. And then she measured the textiles, different textiles, against that human base frequency to find out that organic cotton also vibrated at 100 hertz. Traditional cotton, which means it's grown with pesticides and fertilizers, vibrated at about 80 hertz, so it was lower. But when it came to polyester and nylon, it was between 0 and 15 or 30 hertz. It
Wow.
was very, very low vibrating textile. And then on the other spectrum, they measured linen, and that was at 5,000 hertz. 5,000 hertz. And for me, that was kind of the basis to start an apparel line, a very small apparel line, to bring high vibrational textiles, linen, like the highest vibration that you can have. Wool also is 500. It's just, it rotates into the opposite direction. Like linen is a bast fiber, so a plant fiber, and wool is a protein and animal fiber, and so they're going into opposite directions. So if you were to layer that, you would kind of cancel out the frequency. But that was really interesting. Oh, and one thing that I wanted to add is that they likened these low vibrational textiles to the same as a deceasing or dying body, which was for me, yeah, it was like super fascinating. And it also got me into a very low vibrational state because I felt very guilty, because for my entire career, I was pretty much focused on working on like polyester and nylon based materials. And so that was really eye-opening for me. Oh, okay, so everything, and it kind of undermined that point that everything in the universe is a vibration, is energy. Vibration is a frequency.
I mean, it's fascinating because I look back over my life and I much prefer wearing natural fibers.
Yeah.
But I didn't really put a lot of emphasis on. I just knew I felt better wearing them. I mean, can it affect your health too when you're wearing these low vibrational fibers?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And actually, I am also on a monthly basis, I'm supporting the Inner Science Research Fund. And at one of the last events, I was able to ask that question. And I felt very proud of myself because I made the researchers really startled and think, because they say, yeah, I don't know, but it would make a lot of sense that on the energetic blueprint, in which distortions are actually then manifesting into some dis-ease in the body, or that can impact that, it would make sense. Has it been studied? It has not. However, what we do know certain things that have happened over the last 25 plus years. For example, human sperm count, like male sperm count, has rapidly declined, and so yeah, I mean it doesn't mean that it's causation, but there is a correlation, and I think it is probably a combination of multiple factors that are impacting these diseases or disorders in humans. We know that cancer is much more, happens much more than it did 25 years ago. We know, one thing that we do know is that polyester microfiber sheds in the washing machine an obscene amount. Actually, I think it's like almost half a million microfiber particles are being like expelled from just the dryer, like our regular washer and drying processes. And what we do know is that on average, every human on the planet ingests about a credit card worth of plastic, whether it's ingest or inhale, every week. And we also, I know it's kind of crazy, and we also know that plastic or polyester is plastic acts as an estrogen in the human body.
Mm-hmm.
And so that might, I mean, these are all like attempts to explain what may or may not have happened, but it's really fascinating to me. So I think it, there has not been a study that completely has, denounced or proven that there is no effect on humans.
But just to be on the safe side, natural fibers would be the way to go.
Yes, I would totally agree. This is where I'm definitely at, and what I'm totally looking at. And it's interesting. I can't wear those microfiber underwear. There's a lot of underwear like that, and I still have some from like times like from before I cleared things out. I can't wear that. I can't sleep in that. It's like I have to. I just can't wear this stuff anymore.
And I think when you make the transition to natural fibers, that then if you slip back to wearing something that's synthetic, you'll feel it more. You'll feel that difference. So now we understand that everything is frequency, even the clothes we wear. It kind of opens up your awareness of all the energy around you. And
yes.
That brings me on to beliefs. Because you are a fellow Psyche facilitator.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
And as we know, beliefs control 95 to 99% of how our lives unfold. So how do these like somatics, bioengine, energetics and belief work and Psyche, how do they weave into how you help leaders, how you help people owning businesses, and again, everyone in their everyday life? How does that impact your life?
For me, for how it impacts my life, I think it's very empowering, because even though we're doing the work ourselves, and we are always evolving and we're practicing the work ourselves, and I just want to say thank you, because you were one of the first people who mentioned Psyche to me, and it has been for years a little bit on my own periphery while I was in different kinds of transformational containers. And one of the hardest things that I have noticed in myself is still the self-coaching and holding space for our own process. So yes, we are holding space for our clients, and it allows us to grow and explore our own biases and beliefs and thoughts that we have about the topics that we help them explore. One of the hardest parts is staying when we are emotionally triggered into by something that happens, right? And it's life, and life is lifey, and so there will always be some things like that. And what Psyche for me personally has done is it's a methodology that is very contained and laser sharp and focused for me to move through any emotional triggers and the stories behind, and get to the stories behind them, or even not getting to the story, just the energetics behind them, and move that through and process that through within like 5 to 10 minutes, versus sitting in the agony. Like when we are emotionally triggered, it's painful. It hurt, and it's very normal. We want to run away from that. And so when there are these triggers that we're in, the ability to like, I've noticed this. I'll share a personal example that I've had recently, because money is still something that is triggering because of my personal past and experiences, and I've had a money trigger, and it felt like, ugh, so crunchy in my body, and I didn't like to feel that way. And I was pacing around in the garden and trying to listen to something to distract myself, because sometimes it's a very easy thing to do with this thing right now, right? So there's so much distraction that we can do. And I realized as I'm pacing, you're trying to run away from something. I guess it's time. It's time to sit down and use the psychic process. And I did, and the relief was really instant, and so many things have shifted since then. And otherwise, or before, I had to really make space and have the capacity to hold space. So basically wait until the big surge is over and then sit myself down, and then go into like that uh inquiry process, self-coaching kind of process that um was way more of a dialogue and would take much longer. And sometimes there's just not that time. But I noticed, for me, the psychic process is fast, is surgical, super effective. It's simple, and contained.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And as you say, it's so fast. I mean, earlier on in the summer, I
Uh-huh.
have this really bad habit of falling.
Mm.
And it's the universe saying you're doing something you're not supposed to do, and you have not been listening to the messages, because I'm
Mhm.
quite stubborn, and just went flat on my face, cracked multiple
Oh,
ribs. But
oh no.
there's this beautiful process in Psyche called transforming the perception of stress. And
Yeah.
I did that, and yes, I was in pain, but that trauma that can then stay with you and create multiple problems in the future,
Right.
that was just
Right.
dissipated. And I was able to
Yeah.
see the gift in that wound. And it was a painful wound, but it was a very big gift as well. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
ended up being
Yes.
grateful, even though I had to sit on the couch for 2 weeks. And I got to eat ice cream, because that obviously is a well known medical fact that ice cream heals bones.
I mean,
So I kept telling my
I mean,
husband anyway.
well, truthfully, it was like that's what sugar or sugary desserts were for, is to numb some
Absolutely.
of the pain. I mean, it was medicine at one. I mean, we might be over medicating these days.
I was very over medicated, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's and so, it's really interesting what you're saying is like that we can perceive whatever is happening to us as something that allows us to heal. And it's such um, an honor to be able to work with people, um, not just to shift, but help them remove the emotional charge from situations, because that's exactly what it is. Because that is a frequency, that is a background music that you are emitting that is not helpful, that affects everyone around you, and that prevents us from having a clear signal. And so using Psyche in my client work is doesn't require to go into the trauma. It doesn't require to talk it all out. Um, and that is what busy leaders, executives want a solution fast, don't
Mhm.
want to regurgitate things. they want to move fast and impact and lead. I mean, lead from a coherent place.
Absolutely. And to be able to go from that place of feeling like you're a victim or feeling anxious to a place of gratitude and empowerment within a few minutes is incredibly powerful.
I know. I had a session with an executive here, and very left brain, so very analytical. Very left brain is the analytical. Like, I always get them mixed up still. I think the right, it's funny because it's the opposite of what we would think it is. I think the
That's
right
right.
is the creative and the left is the analytical. So he's very left brain, analytical, structured, organized, and we did the process, and I could see like his wheels were going, and said, I don't know what is happening and why. I just know that there's something there for me. I just know that something opened up here. And that is, I mean, that's just, I think, yeah, wonderful. It's beautiful, right? It's like, it's fabulous. Yeah.
It's wonderful to see that change in people, and it just makes the work really gratifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are hosting a reset soon next week. So can you tell us a little bit more about that, especially if people want to join in the process and how they can contact you?
And I'll give you a special code. It's called Reset Gift for people to really get in at a low rate. And it's actually, it's the last one that I'm doing this year. And it's the last one that I'm doing at that level of access, awesome. At that level of cost, because this work is going now bigger, and I could feel an incoherence when it came to where I've positioned it. So that was part of the work that I was doing, right? The work that I just told you about. So yes, it happens November 10th through the 14th, so Monday through Friday. Each day we're going, it's just an hour per day, right? So it starts at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard for 1 hour. And there's about 25 minutes of teaching, and really going into each of those letters of the beacon method. And then it's not just the teaching, right? Because we know we can read about things, we can read books, and then we put them on the side and nothing changes. So this is not that. What this is, you get the information, you get the teaching, and then we're integrating right away. And I'm using breathwork because I believe and I know it is the fastest access to getting into a meditative state, getting into a state where your nervous system is receptible, where you can move through emotional, where you can move emotional triggers out. I always call it kind of the emotional sandwich that we're running around, because we're suppressing and running away and suppressing our emotions, just as I did in the garden, right? And so we're going through this entire arc, and my intention is always by the end of the week that it has created a real reset for every participant who joins, to also see themselves from a different vantage point. So I talk about like the lens we're going, like micro and macro, but also seeing ourselves and who we are from a different lens throughout the process. Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
That's fabulous. So if anyone needs to contact you or has any questions, your website is danielacaine.com, correct?
Yep.
So
easy.
DANIELA
N-E.
ielacaine.com.
Yeah.
So I have worked with Daniela on numerous occasions, and the breath work that you do is amazing. So we have a treat that you're going to give us a demonstration of a breathwork
Yes.
session so people can really experience that. And I really encourage everyone to sign up, or at least contact Daniela and ask some questions, because this work we do is all about transformation and becoming the best that you can be and achieving the life that you want. And if there's just some of these beliefs and these lower resonances that are holding you back, then we kind of need to shift those.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Oh, I would. Yeah. Yeah. I have one little story to tell about this, that I was amazed about myself. Like I surprised myself. Um, I have found that breath work is there is something magical happening when we are intentionally moving the breath through our body. I always say it is like tilling the soil, because as humans, as I said earlier, we're walking around with this emotional sandwich stacked in our, especially lower energy centers or chakras, whatever you want to call it. And those are the triggers, like something happens and then like those get triggered. But what happens with the breath once we go into the intentional breath, it tills the soil of that stack. And so what can happen then is that these emotions are being released, and you might feel emotional, you might cry, you might have like tingling sensations in your body. And even though like today's session is not going to be so intense or as intense that there is a huge emotional shift, over time it helps you to rewire and reprogram your nervous system. And it's just through the breath, and we have the medicine right under our nose. And the small story that I want to tell you is a TRE teacher. I think it's called trauma release exercise. So a TRE teacher told me this, and it resonated with me, made a lot of sense, that wild animals, when there's a threat and then they run away, and once the threat is over, they stand there and then they shake the trauma off. And we humans have forgotten to do that because we're so controlled and suppressed. And we learn that because, of course, we don't want to inconvenience anybody. And so we are holding all of this in, and we are training our body not to have that as a natural response. Now, I've been doing breath work now for many, many years. And also daily, I used to facilitate daily, like for over 9 months, I made a commitment and I facilitated daily. And so I was on a flight to California by myself, and we hit turbulences. And I think the pilot knew beforehand, and the stewardess were strapped. It was a small plane, and she was strapped up, and it was wild. It was like these air holes, like down, woof, woof, like. And I was sitting there, and I was afraid. Like it was like, that fear for your life, basically, because it was so intense, being shaken about for maybe 10 minutes or so. And you're just in free fall, and then left, and then right. And so I sat there, and I was, alone in the row that I was in. And once we came into calmer skies, my body just shivered by itself. It just shook itself.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I sat there, and I'm like, holy shit, like, wow. my body just shook the terror off.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like a second that it did that. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, body, good job.
Well done.
Well done, body. Well done, body.
So it
So
instinctively knew what to do.
yes, yes. And I believe it would not have happened because I had like turbulences, prior to this. Like I've been in a turbulence like that before, and I didn't have that response. And this time I did. And so I thought, oh, I must have. I mean, the story and the meaning that I make from that obviously is that, like, over time, I have reprogrammed my body or gotten my nervous system into a place where it is resourced and it knows what to do automatically. It doesn't have to hold on the terror and doesn't, and it just, just shook it off. So it was very cool.
Fabulous.
Very interesting.
Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your
Thank you.
wisdom. It has been such a treat.
Thank
you, everyone,
Thanks
for joining us today. And we've got a lovely treat because you're going to do a short breathwork session. So people, I mean, even when people have experienced it, this is going to be special because it's your process. And I really encourage people who have never experienced breathwork to stay on with us and just experience this magic, because it's pretty powerful. So thank you again.
Amazing.
You're an angel.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So are you. Aren't we? Okay. I invite you to find a comfortable position and close your eyes. And we're doing a very simple breath. It's called the halo active breath, where you inhale into the nose and out through the mouth. It's very simple. In through the nose and out through the mouth. That's it. And with your inhale, imagine that you are filling up your chest like a balloon, and on your exhale, you release that balloon. And again, inhaling, really expanding your chest, the back of your chest. And then exhale, deflating that balloon. And then inhale again. Slow and steady. Maybe even moving your body a little side to side just to find an even more comfortable position. And imagine that with each exhale, your spine is stretching upwards. Your head is reaching into the sky. And then with the inhale, again inhaling into your chest. And with the exhale, reaching your head, your crown up into the sky. And keeping that position with your inhales and your exhales. That's it. Maybe move your head side to side. Maybe it is your shoulders that you want to bring up and back, allowing you to straighten yourself. And with your next inhale, inhale all the way in and hold at the top. So breath hold just for as long as it feels comfortable for you. Remember to keep straight in your spine. Bring your shoulders up, down, and back. And whenever you're ready to release that hold, then release it. And come back to the halo active breath into the nose and out to the mouth. That's it. Find your rhythm. That's it. And all you need to do is focus on your in and exhales. Finding your rhythm. You're doing this right. You can only do this right. Into the nose, out to the mouth. That's it. That's it. You're doing this right. You're safe to breathe. It is safe to take a pause. And slow down. There you go. That's it. Last couple of breaths. With your next inhale, inhale all the way in. And fully exhale out. Hold at the bottom. And whenever you're ready to take the inhale, take a deep inhale and come back to your regular breath.
Please let me feel inner peace from my center at the center of me. Please let me feel
Notice the seat beneath you.
My heart is open. I am awake.
Notice the rise and fall of your belly and breath.
Love, love, love. My heart is open.
Whenever you're ready,
I am awake.
slowly and gently flutter your eyes open, a soft gaze, anchoring yourself back into your environment. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do this.